right, I believe we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Accountability Buddies in Action. I think we have hopefully figured out the Instagram business, and you can see it on Rafi's Instagram. There's a thumbs up. Fantastic. I am Suzanne Yeda. I am with the Creative Spirals. We're an accountability group for creative weirdos, and we are doing this 6 week live stream series all about accountability partners. And we are still figuring out some of the tech things, but I think we're actually good to go. It looks like perhaps things are good. So, I'm gonna pull up our things. I'm gonna also, let's see what happens when, if you comment in the chat, just say hello, hi, where are you joining in from if you're here live. We are streaming live to the Creative Spirals YouTube channel, and we are streaming to Rafi Mendoza's Facebook profile. And I see a Facebook comment. There we go. Yeah, Eddie Morgan. Cool.
I just tagged him just so that he can find us because we just had
Great.
a tiny little chat before we went live. So I just wanted to make sure that he wasn't left out.
Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome.
Great. So just
Great.
to want to say hello to some of the people who are joining live on Instagram. We have Matthew, we have Debbie, we have Rianne, we have Corinna, we have Anna, and lots of other people who I don't know their first names, but we have Mind, Body, Soul Connection, which is great. And we have Heather here as well. So
Right.
welcome, everybody.
That's
This is part
fantastic.
2 of Accountability Buddies.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah, so I'm glad we were able to do that, and I'm really excited to kick it off this week. Ravi, what did we do last week? Can we get a quick recap on what we
Yes.
actually did?
So last week we introduced ourselves, which we'll do again in a little bit, just because there's a few of you who are new here. So we'll do like a quick intro so that you know who you're watching. And last week we basically started the process of mine and Susanna's accountability buddy journey, and that included giving an overview of what an accountability buddy is and what it isn't. And so if you haven't caught up, we'll give you a quick overview now, but make sure that you RSVP. Suzanne's going to drop you the link
Yeah.
on YouTube, and I'll do that on Facebook shortly so that you can get the replays emailed to you as well, and you can catch up with all the sessions because they really do build on each other. And so last week we talked about what accountability buddies are and the kind of key criteria for a good one, because they're not your coach, they're not necessarily your friend either. They're someone who is going to hold you accountable and witness you in deep compassion as you go through the things that you inevitably go through when you have a really big goal.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I talked about today on my stories on Instagram is that if you have if your goal is achievable and accomplishable on your own, it's just not a big enough goal, like, frankly, because not that there's anything wrong with those because they build momentum, but you really want to give yourself as a creative the opportunity to ask yourself, like, what do you want to accomplish? You can ask the big questions like, what's the purpose of your life and what's it all going to mean at the end?
Right.
And I do that with most of my clients, but it's not even that. But it's like, what do you really want to accomplish? What's gonna feel like, oh my god, I did the thing and I didn't think it was possible, and now it's happens. And like, really give yourself the permission and the opportunity to do that, and to really tune in to what do I want to do, and be bold, be audacious, be delusional,
Yeah.
and um and go for it. And the key to making that happen is accountability and partnership, and that's something that you can get from like a community, and it's something that you can get from a coach. but the in between space is the
Yeah.
accountability buddy. And so we covered a little bit of that last week.
Hmm.
And we also went through Susanna's accountability buddy set up framework, which we'll go through again today, so you're not going to miss out.
Yeah.
And we went through my goals for my creative practice, and I declared that I wanted to put together an art show in 2025. And that's what I'm going to be using the next 5 weeks now with Susanna, to make sure that I keep myself accountable for the things that I need to do to make that dream happen. And we didn't have time last week to do Susanna's goal, so we're definitely going to do that today.
Hmm. Hmm.
And one of the other things that we did last week as well was go through the three things focus formula, which I created. And don't worry about that now, because we're going to revisit that again. And this time I'm going to be able to show you what a whole week might look like. And that's a way of integrating not your goals into your whole life, because like nothing happens in a vacuum. You have your creative
Right.
goals, you have your business goals, you have your personal goals, and they're all happening at the same time. So you want to look at yourself in your life as a whole person, and take care of everything in such a way that nothing gets compromised. And that's the intention of that particular framework. So we're
Yeah.
going to go through that today as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really excited. Plus, when we're going through the talking through my goals, I'm able to like announce a few things that I haven't announced before to my own followers on on my singer songwriter profiles. So I'm kind of stoked about that. Yeah. So then let's do that quick intro. If you want to reintroduce yourself to some of the new folks who are on the live.
Yes. So my name is Rafi, and if you don't know who I am, then now's the time to find out. So I'm the founder of Co-Creates, where I offer one-to-one coaching for creatives, like a lot of you I know are. And that could mean you're an artist, it could mean that you're a poet, it could mean that you're a writer or a novelist or a dancer or a performer or a ventriloquist or a photographer or a choreographer.
Mhm.
And so you're somebody who has a commitment to creative self-expression in some way, and in a lot of ways business is part of that list of things as well. And my goal as a coach is to empower you to start putting your work out in the world with no apology, and become ready to be seen and loved for your art. And that's the same mission that I have for my community membership as well, which I'll talk about a little later at the end.
Yeah,
So
great.
that's me. And Susanna, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah. So just FYI, it's Suzanne. Yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I've been calling you Susanna for like 6 months now or something.
It's okay. It's okay. I figured I'd do you the honor of letting you know. But I'm Suzanne Yeda. Um, I juggle a bunch of things, including the Creative Spirals group, which is the accountability for creative weirdos. Um, we have quarterly workshops, an annual New Year's planning retreat, and a community on Focus Mate, which helps people to what's called body doubling. You basically book an hour with a body double, an accountability partner, and you check in at the top of the hour, and then you actually do the thing. So it's really breaking down your big, audacious, creative visions and actually putting it on your calendar 1 hour at a time. And that's at thecreativespirals.com. So, accountability for creative weirdos. I'm also a business and marketing coach for creative weirdos, people who have a little bit of an out of the box kind of. I usually work with service based businesses, online businesses who have a creative bent to them. Um, and that's been a lot of fun. I'm also a singer songwriter, and I perform under the name Little Spiral. And that's my creative weirdo. I myself am a creative weirdo, so I like to help out others in however I can. Yeah, so that's a bit about me for the new folks, and also if you're watching, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, pop in the chat who you are and what you're about, what kind of creative project you're working on. Feel free to self promote in the chat a bit, and we can check each other out.
Feel free to drop links as well. We'll keep hold of what's going on in the comments, and we'll make sure to check out your links as well if you drop them in there.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. Okay, let me just frame this a little better. So this week we are actively, bringing to the live stream what an accountability partnership might look like using one of my tools and worksheets and one of Rafi's tools and worksheets. So last week we were talking about Rafi's show in 2025. And let's go ahead and pull up. Hopefully, it can be
I
visible.
can do that if you like.
Let
Yeah.
me let me give it a shot because there's a thing on Restream that is can be tricky. Let's see, but I need to blow this up pretty big here. Let's try maybe this layout. Oh, that's too big. Okay, let's see. Maybe there? Nope. Still too big. Yeah, it's kind of tricky to get the, no. To get the screen share on a vertical.
Shall we switch to horizontal? And I
I
think
don't
I
think
think Instagram will live.
I don't think we can because we're streaming to Instagram.
I see.
I don't know.
Okay. Well,
Well,
let's zoom in line by line. I think that'll be fine. From what I can see on my Instagram screen, I think it's okay.
okay.
Yeah,
Great.
that looks good.
Yeah, let's do that. Great. Let's see if that changes anything. Okay. Right. So, we already have our partner number 1 here. I'm going to scroll on down. Partner 2, and I won't put on my personal stuff, but I can at least, I'm happy to share my email. This is my
So
professional.
just while Susanna's doing that, I'll just like give everybody like a little background. So this is a framework that Suzanne came up with, that really allows you to get clear on your goals for both partners. So what's your goal, and what is it that you want accountability for? Because like I said earlier, like we have an entire life, and like I have my creative goals that I'm putting into this series for you to see and learn from. But I also have health goals, and I also have financial goals, and I also have business goals. And so I'm not going to be expecting Suzanne to hold me accountable for all of those things. And so this process is a really essential step in making sure that you have clarity and transparency with what you expect from each other. And so we did mine last week, and now it's Susanna's turn.
All
And
right.
so you'll see now live how we bring this process together. Okay?
Yes. Yeah.
So are you
Amazing.
ready, Suzanne?
I'm ready. You want to take notes for me?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
So so Suzanne, which area of your life do you need accountability for right now?
My music, because I've been working so much on the admin and the marketing and the pitching that I tend to put the music itself on the back burner. And the back burner is where my best intentions go to die. So I want to get it back into the front burner. It's a little, I think I mentioned this earlier, but it's a little like the veggie drawer, the veggie crisper in my refrigerator. Like I have all this fresh produce and I have the best intentions for them. And then with my ADHD, if it's out of sight, out of mind. And yeah. So I
Yeah.
don't want my music to meet the same fate. So I really want to be releasing music again. Um, my last release was 2022, so it's definitely time.
Okay. And I think you kind of already started alluding to this, but can you give us a little bit more on why this is important to you? And before you do that, like just for everybody who's watching, this is like such an essential and integral question because along the journey, I mean, we're showing you 6 weeks, but you know, you could have an accountability partner for like a year or 6 months or, you know, however long. And so, it's really important that when you reach those kind of like roadblocks, whether they're internal or external, whether it's an external problem or you know, circumstantial thing, or whether you're internally like beginning to question what on earth you've signed yourself up for in your entire existence, this is like the part that you come back to. So yeah, so Suzanne, why is this important for you to start releasing music again?
It's both for my own expression, but it's also for the person on the other end that needs to hear it. So I know that music has saved my life countless times. Somebody else's music, somebody else's song came on at just the right time. And it really said what I needed to hear. And so now I get to give back and say what I need to say so someone else can hear it. And so it really, the core of it is just this. It's hard to put into words, but it feels like it's life itself.
Yeah.
And because it's not practical, sometimes it doesn't get on my calendar. So, like, I need to remind myself, like, when we do our check ins, remind myself about music saved my life. And I think some of my songs could save somebody else's life.
Yeah, I really get that. And, you know, just for the benefit of people who are listening to this conversation, I think what Susanna just expressed is so important for any artist and for any creative to acknowledge because, you know, for a lot of us, like a lot of our, like society's not really built for creatives, like if we're honest about it. And for a lot of our lives, we've received a message in some form of other that at best, you know, our people relate to our art as like a nice hobby. And you know, when people hear you sing or when people see your artwork or when people see your photographs, they're like, oh wow, that's so cool, what a nice hobby.
Right.
And it's like you put your heart and soul into it, and you know the response doesn't always match.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, and then at worst you might be um you might you might have internalized the message that art is even a waste of time. So like
Yeah.
Suzanne, like what you were saying, it doesn't make it onto your calendar because it's not a practical thing. And so to really acknowledge to yourself what your art means to you is so important. And I just want to share something that Eddie on Instagram has shared. So I don't know if you can show this on the screen, Suzanne. And he said, "Why? Wow! I feel so the same. I play guitar in tin whistle." Sometimes in public. Often I feel that I am not reaching my full potential there simply through lack of practice.
Mm.
And so, yeah, like, and the other important thing and why we were both building our communities and why we want to talk about partnership is having community of people around you or even just one other person who gets you as an artist is like essential. And it feels good, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So okay, so we're kind of like going through like if we were
Yeah.
like in private, this would be happening quicker. But I want to really create context for you guys who are tuning in, and so okay, so it's about music and it's about releasing music again.
Yeah.
What does success look or feel like for
Mhm.
you? Like, what would it look like to be able to release music again?
Yeah, so this particular project, I'm hoping to get your help in. I keep going back and forth between do I want to do this, do I want to do that, and I think I'm gonna break it down into one song because I feel that's more doable. I have a full EP that I'm hoping to release in the first part of the new year. But I do have one song I want to work on. I want to break it down just to one song about Thanksgiving. And it's something that I actually did a live stream about. I released it to my patrons last year, and now I want to put it up on Spotify because so many people have asked me, "Oh, I have a Thanksgiving playlist, and I want to add it to there," because there's so many Christmas songs. But over here in the States, we're like, "Where's the Thanksgiving bangers? Come on!" Um,
Yeah,
and I personally have my own like feelings about the particular holiday and its origins, and that's what the song is about too. So for this, I have a song. It's called "My Gratitude." I want to release it by the time our 6 week check-in is done. So basically, that last day is October 30th, right before Halloween. Uh, if it is not already released, I've at least submitted it to my distributor to go onto Spotify and to Apple Music and to all of the distribution platforms. So yeah, I want to do this one song by
what's the name
Thanksgiving.
of the song?
My Gratitude.
My Gratitude.
Yeah.
Okay, so success would look like the song My Gratitude. Let me just do a thing. Is released by 30th October
Mm-hmm.
on streaming platforms.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so it sounds like you've already kind of pre-released it to your Patreon. Did I get that right?
I've performed it live, but I haven't put it in like I haven't produced it in
Yeah,
a way that I really want to have it on
sure.
streams. So if I can modify that goal just a bit, like
Yeah.
um, because I even if I have everything locked, loaded, done, finished by October 30th, sometimes if I submit it to distribution, it takes them a couple of weeks. So I want to at least have it submitted for distribution by October 30th.
Let's
so
do
that
that.
so that at least it's out in November, and if it's mid-November, that's okay, but
Okay.
the earlier the
I
better.
I I hear that. This is like cuz you that's a really good point actually for those who are listening in. There's your intention, and and Susanna just said, yeah, so like by November, like I want it to like actually be out. That means I'm gonna have to submit it for distribution. So like you want to be able to differentiate from what's in your control and the actions that you can take to result an intention that may not necessarily be something you can influence directly.
Exactly, and that's what we talk about. And I'm all about that because the things that are within your control are the things that you can set up, tasks and deadlines and things for. And I think that's why a lot of us, including me, seem to be allergic to goals. Is because if my goal is I want to have 30 million Instagram followers, well, that ultimately can be out of your control. But if you say, I'm going to spend 1 hour every day interacting on Instagram and following and doing a particular tactic every day, that is something that's within your control. And so I like to get really specific when it comes to either goals or milestones. Because if I have a goal of having if my ultimate like goal is just to have lots of people listen to my music,
Mm.
uh, that can be in my head just a little overwhelming and vague.
Yeah.
Um, but when I break it down into something that's within my control, at least I know what direction I'm going, even if it is
Mm.
big. So I want to have lots of people stream my music is a different goal from I want to tour the world in stadiums.
Exactly.
And even though both end up being like lots of people listen to my music, if I'm going more of the
Mm.
streaming route, I have to know, okay, this is what I'm going to be doing. This is how I'm going to be breaking it down into something I can
Exactly.
do. Yeah.
And the more specific you get, and I think as well, I mean, I like to attach numbers and figures to things. So
Yeah.
for instance, like I want to have lots of people listen to my music, broken down into I want to have lots of people stream my music. You want to break that down to like, well, how many people and by when.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, because it just makes it like, because like for instance, like you, lots of people is kind of subjective, right?
Of course.
So you could use that, because human beings do this, particularly creatives. You can use that. You might have like 100,000 people stream your music, but because you didn't specify how many, you just say lots, and you could then turn around and say, well, 100,000, that's like nothing. And it's
Exactly.
like, and so you then just use it as an excuse to not do the next release or to not keep
Yeah.
going. And you know, and the other thing that is important about attaching a number to something and giving it that specificity, it's like, if you, if your goal was to have 100,000 but you only ended up with like 67,000, it's like, okay, so you're over the halfway mark, so you can objectively measure that progress. And then you can actually look, okay, like where did we miss these people? How could we be reaching people that are currently not, don't even know that I'm on Spotify or whatever?
Hmm.
And what else can I be doing? So the more specific you can get, the more things you actually have within your control.
Yes. Yeah. And I also want to add that sometimes we can set lofty goals. I encourage people to set lofty goals, but then when we don't meet up to them, we use that as an excuse to beat ourselves up. And
Mm,
exactly how you were saying is we can just look at that and that is information. We
exactly.
just take it as pure information. Whether or not we succeeded or fail is just information. It's not an affront to you personally as a failure or
Exactly.
a success. It's
Exactly.
just a measurement that we can just focus on and say, I actually did want this, didn't do that. Okay, that tactic didn't work. Maybe I needed to invest more time, invest more money. Maybe I needed to hire a person. Maybe I needed to do this. Or I can adjust. I can a goal is not, and I hate saying this, but a goal is not necessarily set in stone. You can have it, you can throw it out there, you can work towards it. If you want to have it set in stone, do it. But it is not a measurement of your own personal worth.
Exactly.
And if you are aiming for a goal and you're working for it 6 months, a year, and you're finding that your day to day is not aligning and the goal that past you thought was really great, well, perhaps present you has more information than past you have. So what I
Exactly.
usually like to do is think about there's a past me, a present me, and a future me. Let's have adult conversations with each other. Let's like
Exactly.
if past me had a goal and present me is like, you know what? I have learned since then that this isn't working in that and you're sure that present yourself isn't just acting out of fear,
Mm,
but you can ask your past self, hey, past self, I'm in the future now. I know a little more. I have a little resources. I'm discovering that this goal needs to change or adjust, or maybe it's a bigger goal. Just have an adult, kind conversation with past self, so you're not beating up on them and they're not attacking you, because that happens a lot in my head. Uh,
yeah. I don't
to
think you're alone.
to
And
just have a renegotiation, just information, no judgment, just a renegotiation. But I also want to like make sure that we're not just changing goals just because you're afraid of them, but
Yeah.
that you're being realistic.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think if we were to wrap that particular part of it in a nutshell, it's like getting specific takes the drama out of it,
Yes. Yes.
because you just want to
Exactly.
do the thing and you can have your emotions but see them for what they are,
Mm-hmm.
conversations that you have with yourself in your head, and you can change it so that it's kind. Because
Yes.
actually what you have with specificity is, like you say, just objective raw data, and you do with it what you will, in a, in a logical and intuitive way as well. And so
Yes.
just somebody commented on Instagram, um I don't know your name, so it's Alfin Fenfario, and they say, out of curiosity, is it your wish to be famous? 100K is far more than well known. So, by the way, I picked 100K out of thin air to like give an
Sure.
example of figures, but it's a good question. So why don't you answer that for us,
Yes.
Suzanne?
Yeah, it's a great question, especially because I'm here in Los Angeles, California, with lots of famous people. Um, you can. It's kind of a saying that I hear a lot in the music industry and the entertainment industry. You can be rich and not famous. You can be famous and not rich, and it happens all the time. Um, the I do not want to be famous. I want my work to be famous. I want to go into a cafe and not be mobbed. You know, I want to just continue doing my thing, like living my life. But there are plenty of examples. You know, I have a friend, a dear friend. Actually, I just released a co-write with her. We wrote a song together, and I released that to my Patreons. It's called "Have Fun." But when she's being her own superhero artist, she's got a song that has 2.6 million streams.
Mm.
It's incredible. She does not get stopped on the street. Nobody really knows her. Her name is Althea, by the way. Look her up. She's a fantastic, like, dark pop artist. Amazing. But just because one song has millions of streams doesn't necessarily mean that you are famous. So 100K, yes, it's more than well known, but it also doesn't mean that, like, I get stopped in the street quite yet. Um,
Mm.
if that helps with the context. But the reason I don't want to be famous is, I think the the benefits of fame and the drawbacks of fame. To me, there's more drawbacks, and I'm not. I'm an introvert. I don't really feel like I am called to be famous. But my words, my music, my poetry, this stuff is really potent and powerful, and if my face happens to go along with the ride, so be it. That's not my goal, though. My goal is to get these songs out there in the right eyes and hearts and ears of the right people who need to hear it.
Yeah, I really hear that. And because, yeah, like as artists, like our work is bigger than us. Like we're channeling something. I mean,
Mhm.
my personal view, and it's a bold one, is that creativity is the ultimate spirituality.
Yeah.
Because when you're in that flow that we enjoy for ourselves, because it's an amazing feeling, but what's really happening is you're channeling spirit. And so
Mm,
that, approach of wanting the work to be famous more than you, that's like, yeah, that for me, that's like I'm 100% behind you on that, because it's not about me, it's about
mhm.
what I've been able to channel as a human being vessel for creativity. So
Exactly.
Alvin Fenfario says, good answer. I agree.
Thank you.
So, okay. So, what stumbling blocks do you think could get in the way?
Well, with ADHD, I tend to get overwhelmed. I tend to, um, I, I tend to get caught up in logistics, and I might hyper focus for 3 hours on one little thing that actually doesn't matter quite as much.
Mm.
Um, I might hyper focus on designing the cover of it and making it just so. And I do think cover art matters, but I might be overthinking it, or working too hard on a detail that nobody really actually notices.
Yeah.
Um, so I think the stumbling block could be that I um, I could set some time, look at my calendar, put things into place, but am I using the time wisely to just get this done? My whole goal with this is done is better than perfect, which is a challenge for me. Perfectionism.
That's in all caps. Note that.
Yeah, perfectionism is a challenge. So done is better than perfect is like the mantra that I'm going to be clinging on to. I love that. Caps.
And there's a reason. I'm kind of jesting with Suzanne, but there's also a reason to highlight that because I mean, one of my coaching clients is also a musician, and in fact, he just sent me his latest demo that he's gonna publish, and I'm like, Jesus, this is like just so ridiculously good.
Mm,
And one of the things that we've been talking about is like you don't have to compromise your desire and drive for excellence. Like
mhm.
that's one of the things that I think is a good characteristic of artists as well, is that we have an eye for excellence, whether that's in the visual or music or performance or whatever. But excellent doesn't mean perfect,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
impeccable doesn't mean perfect. It just means that you've done your due diligence, and you've thought about the things that you needed to think about, and you've stayed in relationship and in connection with the piece that you're making, and you're not
Yeah.
winging it. But that doesn't mean perfection, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So that's another really important piece. So okay, how do you see yourself getting back past those particular stumbling blocks?
Whew, well, um, what will help, especially on these live streams, is if I can bring a snippet of the work in progress and actually air them, put myself a little on the spot, and let myself broadcast something imperfect. And I have done that before, and I may actually, what also might will help. Um, I used to do throughout the pandemic. I used to do Friday live streams where I would share my music software. I work in Ableton, and I just kind of compose and record in this software, and I just would live stream it. It's more a little more natural on Twitch, but then I would live stream it like elsewhere. I'd like to I'd like to do that in the next, from now till at least October 30th, where I'm literally working on the song, recording on it. I I don't know why it clicks for me, but when I'm on a live stream and I'm showing my whole work, I'm not tempted to look at all the other tabs I have open, because I'm doing a show. It's like a showing in. But B, it puts it on a schedule, it puts it on my calendar in a way that I have to show up whether or not I feel like it, whether or not I'm inspired by the muse. Um, so I think that the two things is bringing to this live stream, the Accountability Buddies in Action, uh, a clip of my work in progress. That's going to really help me because now I have to put something concrete and present it every week.
Yeah.
And and it will also help me get over my perfectionism because I know, like, oh, these vocals aren't tuned and edited. I'll get over it. Um, and then implementing a regular Friday live stream. I usually go like 90 minutes to 2 hours on my Little Spiral channel. So YouTube / Little Spiral. So I think those two things are going to really help. And then the third one is again like asking for help. So I subscribe to a service, and if anybody's a musician who's listening, this may or may not be of interest to you. But there's a service called Musiversal where you can book different musicians and put them on the calendar, and you book like a half an hour with them. You bring them your song and they'll lay down the track and give you the recording pretty much like as soon as it's done. So that is a tool that's been super helpful for me. I release through my Patreon, the Little Spiral Patreon. I have a Song of the Month club, and sometimes it's literally just me singing into a smartphone, and there it is. But now that I've had this subscription service with actual real life musicians who are incredible, like I have an incredible cellist on a song that I'm going to be releasing in the new year. I'm very excited about it. And I hired him through this service. So I'm very excited about that. And to put some of those on the calendar, again, for me, if I don't break it down into calendar chunks, it does not happen. It just doesn't. So all three of those things are me asking for help and accountability, involving community, and putting things on the calendar.
Yeah, got it. There's just a couple of things there that I want to kind of expand upon for the people who are watching. Because, like, the first thing is when you're talking about the Friday lives, and you talked about like I'm sharing my screen so I don't get distracted with all my 60,000 tabs,
Mm-hmm.
and also you're being held accountable by your fans, by your community. There are people like showing up. So like for no different than this live, it's like prior to this I had like a string of calls starting from like 3 o'clock, which was preceded by a hospital visit. Like I'm like over socialized like right now, but it's fine. I'll recover. Like I'll do the things that I need to do to bring my energy back. But if this wasn't scheduled and if you guys weren't expecting me to go live, I probably wouldn't show up. And and the other thing with an accountability buddy is like we'll go through this later, but you will schedule like check-ins, and they'll just check in on you and make sure that you're okay. And just having somebody else's eyes on your work like makes it that much more
Mm-hmm.
likely that you're going to show up for it.
Yeah, it's that community
And
piece. Yeah.
and so if you don't have an accountability buddy and you haven't quite found the right person yet, and it's important to find the right person, lean on your community and see who, like everybody has an audience. If you're here, you've got a social media account, so like use that and use the things that you already have at your disposal.
Yeah,
So
I've also popped on a little QR code to join both the Creative Spirals, which is my accountability group. If you don't have anybody, we're going to be launching soon. I keep saying soon, but
mhm.
an accountability partner matching service, which is going to be fun. And so just make sure that you're on the list. And if you can't get the QR code because you're on your phone already and it's kind of weird, it's just thecreativespirals.com.
Well, everything that we mentioned, we will send that to you with links in an email. Just
Yeah.
make sure that you RSVP to the Eventbrite link,
And
which
that's the Eventbrite link right there. The next live stream. I kind of like this whole restream. Restream does this pretty well. Um, yeah, so that's on the Eventbrite link, and if you can't get it from there, I'll also post it again in the comments.
yeah.
Oh, take
And
care, Eddie.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh yeah, you can see that too.
yes. And Anna, yeah, littlespiral.com. And Eddie, hope to see you next week. Um, it's a little too bad that we can't for some reason.
Yeah, that is Instagram thing doesn't restream into restream very well. But
Yeah, but
just a little side note, because I know Anna personally. She's also an excellent musician, and I'm
ooh.
gonna like, as a singer, and I'm gonna take this opportunity without her permission to publicly encourage her to do something about it. She's my sister, so I can do that. So, last week we had my mom, and there was like some transatlantic cake thing going on,
Yes.
and now I'm just calling out my sister. So that gives you a window into my personal life.
That's great.
Um,
Awesome.
so yeah, like, and one of the things that you said as well that I want to hone in on is time blocking, because you referred to it several times, and for me as well, that's like, I don't know if it's just like the way my brain works, but it's like it's so easy to just have like a long list, my long list of things that you haven't done. But if you can look at a calendar and actually see like 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., this is my task. And I know it's going to take 3 hours, or if you don't, then you'll soon find out.
Mhm,
Then you can just be much more objective and realistic about how much you can actually do in a day.
mhm.
Um, and yeah, like, and if it's not in my calendar, it doesn't happen. It just doesn't exist. So
Yep.
that was just something I wanted to hone in on for everybody else as well. So, just last question before we move into the tips and tricks that Suzanne is going to share with us later. Um, if you fall off track, how would you want your partner, which is me, to help you?
Um, I mean, these live streams are. I'm also making it a part of that. But I think knowing myself, I might be putting things off until very last minute, and so just be available. Let's say Mondays. Like be open to if I need to message you like on a Monday or Tuesday and just do a like a bookend. So I would just message you and say, "Hey, I am totally procrastinating all of the things. Um, I'm going to commit to doing X, Y, or Z, like one chunk of it, or maybe even just spending 10 minutes on it now. Please check in with me and um please check with me to make sure that I've done it. And this can be done over text.
Yeah. Just summarizing that for you. And something that we talked about last week, so we won't overlabor it here, but just a reminder for people to go watch that if you missed it, is we talked about kindling tasks.
Hmm, hmm.
And like, and if you take the metaphor of trying to build a fire, you're not going to start by just like lighting a match to a great big log. You're going to like take chunks of it, use smaller pieces of wood, use a bit of paper, and let that burn, and kind of like gain some momentum, gain some energy before you can really think about making that great big bonfire. And so, am I right in understanding that the Monday check-ins is like reminding you to like, what are your kindling tasks? Can we build some momentum at
Yes.
the start of the week so that you're not starting from zero on Friday?
Yes. Yes. In fact, I may even ask you for a kindling task because sometimes if my
Mm,
brain gets a little too frozen or paralyzed and just like I don't even know what to do next,
mm,
I might have to like ask for some like what's a good kindling task for me to do
yeah,
for the next 5 minutes, even if you have no idea what the hell I'm doing, just be like,
yeah,
okay, what software do you need? I need Ableton. Can you open the software?
yeah,
Okay. Can you start the new session? Can you start a new file? Yes. Okay. Well, then what comes next? Okay. Like, even if
Yeah.
it's that, sometimes that's really helpful.
Yeah, that's clear. And then the other thing that I think I'd like to get clear at this point as well, and for our benefit, but also everybody else's, is do you prefer written messages or would you prefer that I leave you like friendly voice notes?
Ooh. I am a big fan of voice notes. Um, if it's short, I prefer it written, but if it's like more of a ramble and you just need to like, yeah, that's a good question actually. Thanks for asking, because if it's something like a kindling task, I do need to see that, so written
Yeah.
is actually much better. If it's more encouragement, or if it's like kind of something a little more lengthy, I do enjoy a voice note.
Let me just write that down. Or I'm gonna say emotional support.
Yeah, yeah,
Cause like yeah, like I see, I get you, and I'm 100% with you as well. It's like if it's like a task, like do this. It's like 3 words, and
right.
you just want to see it and have it like be present and have like the memory of the words etched in your
Yeah.
retinas. Whereas if it's like, hey, like I'm struggling, like everything happened this week, and I not only can't find the time, but I can't find the energy or the resilience or the resolve to do anything, then like more of a kind of human touch conversation voice note
Yes.
is probably going to be more supportive.
Yes. That's
So
awesome. Okay, great.
Okay. Just checking what's happening on Instagram. We're good. Okay, so I'm
So
gonna hand over now to Suzanne, and she's gonna talk us through these different things. Now, we're not doing all of these things. We're focusing on the check-ins
yeah.
and broadcasting that. But we want to make sure that you have everything that you could possibly have inside of an accountability buddy, so you can make the most of that relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. So I'll just talk it pretty shortly, because I know we're running out of time, and we'll probably go. We'll definitely go over, because I want to make sure
Yeah.
we're getting your tasks and your full check in as well. So with this worksheet, you and your accountability partner can tell each other which of these tools do you want to try together. And um, for us, we're just committed to the check-in call. And also on this worksheet, if it has a little asterisk, there's more worksheets that can help. So general co-working is we're setting regular time to like meet and work side by side, usually in silence, or we're just both focusing on the same thing, kind of side by side independently. And I use FocusMate. I'm just gonna say I'm gonna be using FocusMate for this particularly. The time difference between Rafi and I makes this a little more challenging, but that's what I'm going to be doing for myself. Time boxed co-working is similar, but it's, for example, I have an accountability partner for my writing. I have a Substack. I write poetry. I'm a published author, and she's a novelist. We set aside time specifically for writing every week or every other week. So that's time boxed co-working, where a particular co-working session is for a particular theme. So I know people who do this for exercise, finances, creative writing, all of that. Check-in call is what we're going to be doing, and what we have been doing is literally get on the phone, talk through the progress, how is it going, if there's anywhere you're stuck. Feedback partnership is, for example, with my writing partner, if I brought to her a draft and asked her for feedback, that's one way to get like some in-depth um, uh, help. But I'm not going to be asking for feedback necessarily. I am going to be bringing my work in progress just to show, but I am not asking for feedback, because I know all the things in my head that I'm going to be working on. So we won't be feedback partnerships here, and that also actually goes more into not coaching, but just it's a different relationship than just straight up accountability. Um, Task tracker is you become each other's to do list keeper for that project. And I won't be asking for that except for the occasional kindling task from you. And we will just in our check-in calls, we'll be up on, what did you do for your three things? I think we're going to be doing the three things that we commit to and reporting on that. So that's the extent of the task tracker, but I'm not going to be your project manager. That also kind of gets out of the scope of an accountability partner. Um, Finishing sprint. I may or may not need this from either you or someone towards the end. But essentially, what that looks like is nobody leaves the co working session until everyone is past their declared finish line. So nobody wants to be trapped in a co-working session that goes like 8 hours long. And that just puts a little extra pressure on me to actually do the thing and finish the thing again, because done is better than perfect. So I may, towards the end, think of ways to employ a finishing sprint with a fellow coworker and just declare, okay, for this 90 minutes, I want to finish X. And if I don't finish X and and we all have to stay at the same Zoom room or stay at the same cafe until everybody is finished with what they
Mm.
have declared.
I think just a note on that, like we'll see how you get on, but if you do need that, I'm really happy to do that for the final session and you guys can tune in and like watch us like sweating. Um, but like with a finisher, I would definitely recommend having it like one other person because you don't want to subject like all of you to three or four or five or six people having to complete that thing because like you could literally be there for until eternity, right? So like one person and one person that you can trust to hold you accountable and also not abandon you halfway through the thing.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, this one
um
does put a little bit of like a little bit of what's the word? Your own pride on the line.
yeah.
You're really putting the stake upping the stakes if because you don't
Yeah.
want
And
somebody.
hey, sometimes that's what you need, right? Yeah.
and and then as you can kind of see that there's more stakes. We're kind of leveling up the stakes to the last one, which is what I call a carrot and stick contract. And this
Mm.
is like literally a legal document that you sign a contract with somebody else that's outlining both rewards, which is the carrots, and consequences, which is the stick. So I do have a template for that for you in here. If you've signed up to the Eventbrite, you should have it in this thing.
And if
Uh,
you haven't yet, sign up now, even though we're halfway through, because you'll still get the same email. You'll get the replays. You'll get the
yes.
free downloads. You'll get the reminders. You'll get all the good stuff.
Yeah, so I popped the QR code there. Um, but this particular contract, the template has a clause where if you don't do what you said you're going to do by a certain time, you will need to pay a significant amount of money to a charity that you hate. Which definitely puts your own pride on the line. And sometimes if it's a big enough, important enough goal, if it's something that you couldn't do without that extra like real talk.
Mm.
I know somebody who did this trying to quit smoking, uh, and they never smoked again.
$500 down the drain.
That's right. That was yes.
They never smoked again.
Yep. five hundred
So
dollars. That's it. So
yeah.
that's upping the ante quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But you know, if it's something like, you know, quitting smoking and like, look, you're really talking about your health here, or like, you know, if the stakes are really high, like, you know, your creative projects, maybe that important to you, but it doesn't have to just be those projects either. It could be like, like I was working with somebody who was going through like a peri-diabetic program with the NHS, which is our healthcare system here in the UK. And it's like she just wasn't doing any of the things.
Mhm.
And actually, she was like, well, look, this is actually, I want to be alive for my kids. So,
Mhm.
like, I need you to just make sure that I do it. And if I don't, like, like I'm betting like my PS whatever she's a gamer, so it's like I'm betting this, and I'm betting like all these things that are important to me, because this nothing can be more important than this. So that's the
Mhm.
level of like at stakeness that you want if you're going to employ the character stake contracts.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. All right, and then we'll wrap this up. We're gonna be a little over time, but um, our next meeting we already have established weekly and up until October 30th on these live streams. And then partner number one name, that's you. Yes. Right.
And I'll write your name.
Yes, yes. So
Yeah.
before before we get into this, I know that you had committed to some
Couple
action
last week.
items since last time. So update us on what you've been up to.
Yeah, so I emailed the gallery, and something really like I how are you stuck for time, Susan? I mean, everybody, you can just like come and go as you please, and there'll be a replay. But like, do you have a hard stop?
Um, There is, I have a hard stop in about 20 minutes, and I do want to address a comment on Instagram. So obviously, it depends on what country you are in. A legally binding document does not have to be in the United States. If two people sign one thing or agree to one thing and it is in writing, that can hold up in the court of law. Um, and this contract, depending on what country you're is, I'm not familiar with the UK, but this contract can be held up in the court of law in the US if two people have agreed to it. It is in writing. There's signature. So don't mistake that for legal a legal contract that is written by a lawyer, which could have any sorts of legal holes in it from wherever you are. But if it is not a legal document where you are, um, just use it as a social document between people.
Exactly, and like just remember the intention of what you're doing. This isn't about like berating each other, and this isn't
Exactly.
about like kind of like pinning each other to the cross. It's, and which we talked about last week as well, like you're one of the key criteria of having of your accountability buddy is that they're ultimately coming from a place of love and a place of compassion, and they're there to witness you and to be on your side. So the contract's intention is to create that sense of like, I made an agreement and I'm going to stick by it for my own integrity,
Yeah,
for my
exactly.
own value, and I'm enrolling the support of another person to hold me accountable to that. And do not pick an accountability buddy that's going to take you to court.
Yeah.
Basically,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's the clear message, right? So, um, this is a supportive. There's a supportive intention underneath all of it. So,
Exactly.
so yeah, that's just the other thing I want to say to that. So, okay, so let's go through quickly about what I said I was going to do, and we can update the thingy. So yeah, so last week something really interesting happened, because like I had this business card in my jeans pocket for like quite a few weeks, and that was also how long I hadn't done any laundry, because I picked them up from the pile and the thing fell out the day after we did our this session.
Oh
And so
wow.
I took that as a sign from the universe to actually go and email them, because that was one of my tasks. So I did,
Uh-huh.
and I have booked my art show for the. I have to double check because I'm crap with dates. It's for the 2nd to the 16th of October, of August. August.
Of 2025? You booked it?
2025. And the reason for that is because that was the only booking that they had available. And so I have to think carefully about how I want to use our time together because, sorry, I'm just dropping things all over the place. About how I want to use our time together because obviously I'm not going to be completing the
Of course,
show
of
on the
course,
30th of October. But I am building up to that, and I'm being odd about it because I thought, well, maybe I should change my goal for something that's like a little bit more short term. But I thought, do you know what? The last time I held an art show, it was so traumatic because I only gave myself 6 weeks to put the damn thing together, and so I'm not gonna. That's
uh,
called learning from your mistakes. So
uh-huh,
I'm not gonna do that, and I am gonna stick with this goal, and I'm gonna stick with August, but I do want to make sure that I use the time in the live part of this to really prepare myself, particularly with creating the artwork, because painting takes ages, you guys.
yeah,
Like, if you are a painter yourself, then you'll know, and you know that this time is required.
yes. Okay. What were
Um,
the dates again? I missed the dates.
the dates is the the 3rd to the 16th of August.
3rd to
It's a
6th
2 week thing.
in August. That's incredible. Okay, great.
So while you're writing that, there's something on Instagram I just want to look at. Then there should be no punishment, correct? Apart from further support.
The
So
punishment is, you owe $500 if you if you don't do the thing. That's the quote unquote
yeah. So
punishment.
so just to be really clear here, you're referring to a specific tactic called the carrot and stick, and you do
Yeah.
not have to use that.
No, 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 no.
That's something that you might want to use if the stakes are so high and you are picking your own punishment, if you want to call it a punishment.
Yeah,
So this
consequence
isn't.
is a little more
Yeah, exactly. And so it's not something that your accountability buddy should say, "Oh, I'm going to give you a carrot and stick" without your agreement. So
exactly.
this is something that you choose for yourself because you're the kind of person and this is the kind of goal that requires that kind of intensity. If that's not for you, do not use it.
Absolutely.
If you don't trust your accountability buddy to use it properly, then don't do it. So um so to address, yeah, there should be no punishment, okay, that's correct. There is no punishment other than the consequence that you choose to hold yourself accountable. You
Mhm.
are always in control of your life and how you want to do things. And support looks different for every person as well. So I would really treat the carrot and stick with like some discernment is what I would add to that.
Yeah, yeah. What I called it, actually, I'm gonna share it really quick. I have a document in here that's called "In case of emergency, break this glass," which is exactly like you just need to. You feel personally that you need to level up the stakes and get more help. And I'm gonna share this tab super quick. Um, in case of emergency, break this glass. If nothing is working, commitments are falling through despite every tool. Don't beat yourself up. You're not alone. Here's what you also can try. And so, carrot and sticks contract is in the in case of emergency, break this glass kind of document. So,
So make sure that you RSVP so that you can get access to these things. And I don't know your first name, Alvin Finfario, but please feel free to email us. When you sign up, you'll get the email and you can respond to that email if you have any further questions, because like you're asking great questions and great
yes,
clarifications.
yeah,
And
insightful.
so yeah, feel free, any of you, to reach out to us about anything.
Yeah.
Um,
All right.
so
Back.
yeah, so I booked the thing, and it is a long
Fantastic.
time away. But I want to make sure that I use this time that we have together to actually get a lot of the creation of paintings done, and so that I'm not rushing the creative process. And so nearer the time, I'm just focused on publicizing, marketing, filling up my private view, and like admin stuff. So I want to focus on the creative stuff now while I have the spaciousness to do that without the kind of sometimes unhelpful pressure when you're in a creative process.
Yes, yes. So, what 3 things will you be committing to doing between now and next week?
I'm gonna do an audit and actually find out how many pieces I already have ready for what I want to do for this exhibition. And so that's like auditing what I already have in my portfolio, etc. And then I also want to commit to putting regular time aside to paint.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to do at least 20 minutes every day, and for the most part I'm successful, but I'm finding that it's good for like my own emotional nervous system regulation, but
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm really getting into the flow of the painting. So I want to dedicate at least 1 2 hour period of actual painting this week.
Okay. 1 2 hour period um, of painting this week.
Yeah,
Okay.
in addition to my daily practice, which is more for my sanity than for the
Mm-hmm.
exhibition, to be honest. Matthew says gotta run. Thanks, Matthew, and I'll we'll catch up.
Thank you so much. Awesome.
um
Okay.
and then the third thing, I don't know about the third thing. Why don't we go to you and then let's come back to that.
Okay. Great. Awesome. So, um, the 3 things I can commit to, and I'm going to just look on my calendar for Friday. Um, I am hearing back from someone. I might be doing something Friday afternoon. So, let's see. I can commit to going live um, noon Pacific this Friday for usually 90 minutes to 2 hours. I feel like a 2 hour chunk feels satisfying and
Let's
like a
say two
little,
hours.
let's say 2 hours. So I'm putting that on my calendar right now. 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Go live on the Little Spiral channels. So Little Spiral live stream this Friday. Um, I want to book my Musiversal artists. So that's Musiversal. Um, and yeah, I want to book them ahead of time just so I have them on the calendar, and that also helps me to get stuff done. Um, and then um, because I'm me, I'd like to have an organized task list of everything I need to do to launch the thing. I have some templates that I have, but I want to get really specific about this track in particular. So an organized plan of just a timeline of
A
everything that.
project plan with timelines. And then, in fact, I'm gonna nick that for my third thing,
Great.
because that's the kind of thing I never think about. I just do stuff and then like wonder why my life is how it is. Sorry.
It definitely is like a balance. Like if you just like do all the things as they come, that's fine. Nobody's whatever. But sometimes I'm on the opposite side where I overplan everything and then don't actually execute.
Actually do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like last week we talked about having complementary energies, and this is an example of that. Again, make sure you watch the replay, because these
Hmm.
sessions really do build on each other, and you'll get so much more out of it if you can kind of follow along.
Yeah.
So
That's okay.
okay,
So with this
so
document, this is like our kind of kickoff document, and there is another one we're gonna start the regular check-in guide, which is just like the update guides. But
yeah,
before we close out on this one, do we both agree to be supportive, communicative, honest, and realistic? That's something you
yes,
can agree to. I absolutely agree to that.
yeah,
Celebrate wins big and small.
Oh yeah, like I'll be like doing a lot of celebrating.
Oh yeah, I'm putting a celebration emoji right here because you booked a freaking show already, and it's only been a week.
Exactly.
This is great. This is fantastic. Um,
And all because it fell out of a pair of dirty jeans.
yes, that's so
Something's
great.
looking after me anyway. Something's on my side.
That's so great. Be consistent and don't ghost each other, which is going to be hard if we're doing live streams and publicizing it. So I think I'm confident, 100% confident we won't be doing that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And help your partner when they fall off track as they would like to be helped.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think that last phrase is like an underline because, you know, this is not a coaching relationship where you have, as a coach, you have the responsibility and the freedom to listen for what your client wants versus what they need and act appropriately. This is an accountability partnership, and we're not coaching each other, so it's a completely different relationship. So that part is like essential to remember.
Hmm.
I just want to feedback from Instagram. Anna put, it's brilliant to get insight on how this works. Looking forward to seeing both of your successes, which is very sweet. And that's
Amazing.
the great thing about enrolling your community into your projects as well, right? Because they are all rooting for you. You know,
Yes.
you may get one or two trolls, which, you know, is a lot of fun, but like
Exactly.
99.9% of the people who are in your audience want to see you succeed. So cash in on that energy.
Hmm. Also,
Um,
with that, as you want to be helped, I'm supposed to ask you if you're being delusional.
yeah. At the moment, I don't think I'm being delusional.
Yeah, that sounds very realistic. I'm supporting of this.
But that's an important question to ask me specifically because I do that. And sometimes it's good to encourage people's delusions because like it does mean that you go for the bigger things,
Yeah.
but that's also why it's important to have somebody like be with you, because it's like, hey, like you're beating yourself up and like I'm all out for like big ridiculous goals, but you said something crazy, so the fact that you're halfway through a delusional task is great. Like, I kind of need to hear that sometimes because I'm like, oh yeah, like I gone for something ridiculous and I'm halfway there. It's a bigger achievement than if I'd chosen something small,
Mm-hmm.
but I need somebody to help me acknowledge that.
Yes.
um
Excellent. Excellent.
so that's what that means for those of you who weren't there last week.
Amazing.
um yeah,
Amazing.
so um just yeah, I'm not gonna do, obviously because we're over time, I'm not gonna do the three things focus formula. So for those of you who are tuning in and who were here last week, I will show that to you next week and show what a whole week looks like and how to use it. And for those of you who are new, then tune into that next week as well, and make sure you sign up to the RSVP so that I can send it to you for you to use as well.
Amazing. This has been so fun. Like every time we get to hang out, it's always been super fun.
And now I know your name.
Well, it's if you in case you ever forget, it's right there. No, I've got a name
And
tag.
it's like, what's hilarious as well is normally it's people, like it's my name that people mispronounce. So it's like, so maybe I'm just getting, kind of like my revenge for all the time. Sorry that you're in the front of me.
It's all good. It's all good. Usually, people. My last name is Yada, and people pronounce it any other way. I really don't care so much about that. So like
Yeah,
it's all good. But my name is Suzanne Yada. That's
Suzanne.
awesome.
Cool.
So great to hang
Okay.
out, and we'll pick up on the three things focus formula next week. I'm really excited about that because I think it's a perfect balance between people who need a little structure and who are allergic to structure. We've got like a great tool for that. That's really
Yes,
exciting.
tune into that next week, guys, and make sure you catch the replay. And thank you so much to everybody who came. We had Debbie, we had Rianne, we had Alpha and Fanfario, who just asked the most brilliant questions. We had
Thank you.
Corinna, we had Heather, we had Dom Carey. Oh, hi, I haven't seen you in years. And we have Matthew, we have Bonnie, we had Eddie, we had Malloy, we had Philippa, and we had Animal Girl. I'm not sure who you are, but welcome. And so thank you everyone for just joining in and tuning in and spending your evening with us. And make sure that you catch the next stream.
Yeah, on this QR code, which I'm not going to eat this week. Not this week. Next week. No guarantees.
Yeah.
It's just
And
right
then you just
there.
go do it. You kind of have to now.
Um. Just like Pac-Man, just like, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic.